The one part of the Rosh Hashanah service that always gives me goosebumps is when the Chazan begins Shachrit with the phrase HaMelech HaYoshev Al Kisei Ram Benisa, the king who is seated on his high and lofty throne, which is sung in its own special and haunting melody. What do we think about when we hear the word malchut, kingship, royalty? We think of grandeur, of majesty, of wealth, of power. We've just witnessed the passing of Queen Elizabeth II and her massive funeral, the pomp and the ceremony and the circumstance, and the hundreds of thousands of people who came out. But that is but a smidgen compared to the true malchut, royalty of Melech Mochei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the King of all kings, the blessed, the Holy One, blessed is He. Al Kisai Ram V'Nisu Shoechain Ad Muroim V'Kudoy Shemoy. But how do we relate to a king? A king is so lofty. A king is so distant. A king doesn't have anything in common with the regular man on the street. And certainly the King of all kings, who is infinite and immortal, and we're finite man. We are mortal. How do we hope to come before Him? How do we ensure that our prayers are listened to and accepted? And perhaps there is a strategy, a methodology of coming before the King. You see, the average man is not permitted an audience with the king. Even nobility, even the prime minister, cannot simply walk in the king's throne room. There has to be an appointment. And there's a set amount of time. And when that time is over, the person is ushered out of the king's room. But there is one individual who can come and go into the king's private chambers. And that is a servant, a humble servant of the king, who brings the king his tea, his breakfast, his lunch, who cleans his room, who dresses the king. That person has regular access, and they can speak to the king almost, perhaps not as an equal, but somebody that they know, that they're familiar with. If we can't get into the king as regular people, then let's come into the king's chamber by being his servants. That's what we should try to aim for this Rosh Hashanah. We should be the humble servants of Hashem. Avadav, we want to serve Him. How do we serve Him? By studying His Torah, by doing His mitzvot, by doing good deeds between one man and his fellow man. And if we are the servants of God, then we can just walk into His throne room and speak to Him and petition Him, and He will listen to our prayers. So yes, Hashem is HaMelech HaYoshev Al Kisei Ram Benisa. He is the King who dwells upon His high and lofty throne. But we are His humble servants. And we come before Him and we put in our requests. And please God, our requests should be heard and accepted this year And we should have a year which is Shana Tova U'Metuka, a good and sweet year in which we are written and sealed in the book of life. I wish you all a Shana Tova.
Ivesif sai tzadikim tizbunaich Ivil shoin chasidim tizkadosh Ivekerev kedoshim tisah